Hey there, how's it going? Welcome to Looplearnings, and this is video number 9 of how to make inventory management system. And if you haven't watched the previous 8 videos that I have already published on this channel, then link of those videos is in the description below. So please make sure that you do watch and subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet, and hit the bell icon so you get notification whenever I upload any video. Well, there is a very important element that I decided to build in this application, and I think everyone should, and that is tracking or recording, recording, whatever you want to call it, capturing or recording the user log activities. Basically, if user logs on, if user logged out, if user creates something, if user updates something, if user deletes something, all of that should be recorded. And I thought before I move ahead and I showcase the next steps in the inventory management, I should first focus on how to capture the user activity log. And we are going to write the VBA code for this particular purpose in this particular video. For example, if I log in to this application, right? If I log in here, then it should capture that the person name from this location has logged on to the application on which date and time, right? So if that happens, then this information needs to be captured. And if I close this, if I go to my tables database, you will notice that there is a table called user activity. If I double click here, this is right now empty. So no matter how many times I log out, log in, it won't capture anything because we haven't built that structure yet. So we have to write a couple of lines of codes in order to build this functionality. Okay, so I wanted to demonstrate this because, and the reason is because every single button that I'm going to do VBA coding behind, this code that I'm going to demonstrate in this video will be part of each and every command button or other objects as well. So that's what I wanted to cover. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to the login page. Basically, first I want to demonstrate or showcase that when someone logged in, that information should be captured in user activity table here. Okay, and basically that needs to be done behind the login button. So we'll click on login button, we'll go to the event tab, ... and this is the code to perform the login functionality. Now, in order to record the user log activity, we are going to use the record sets. Okay, so record sets are very good in this kind of situations. So first, in order to use record set, first we will have to declare the variable. So we'll say dim activity is the name of variable as a record set. Okay, now we have set the variable. Now we need to tell access what does activity means, right? This is the variable, so what does it mean? So we'll come right here before form is being closed. Before that, we will define our variable, and then we will further write a couple of line of codes to capture the login information. So we'll say set activity is equal to current db dot open record set. So which record set we want to open? Well, it's simply the name of the table, right? This is the table, right? User activity, so that will become a record set. So we will say user activity. All right, now Once we have defined what is our variable, now we will use this variable and we will give reference of some of the information. So let's go to the user activity table. So what do we need to have? We need to capture, when we are logging in, we need to capture, of course, definitely the location ID. We need to capture the location, action type. We need to capture the reference document. Document number, perhaps we don't need to capture because this is log. We are just logging in, so reference document number is not required. Therefore entry number is also not required. So these two are not required particularly for logging in or logging out. Description, we will capture when someone was logged on to the system, which date and which time, and then who was that person. So this is some of the information we need to capture. So to do that, we will go back to VB editor and we will say, first of all, activity dot add new. So basically add a new record in activity table, and in here we will say activity exclamation mark. We are going to refer to these fields now. Location ID is equal to what? So from where the location ID will be picked up. So if I will go to the login page, and if I select this particular combo box, and if I go to the row source of this combo box, I will see that location ID exists in the combo box itself, and the column number is 0 for the location ID. Column number 1 is for location type, and column number 2 is for in charge. Okay, so therefore we are going to do the VB coding accordingly. So we'll say me dot location type dot column. So column number 0, this is where the ID exists, location ID, right? Now action type, what is the action type? Well, so action type is basically login, right? That's the action. Reference document, which document was used? We will reference doc is equal to me dot name. So basically me dot name is just the shortcut of capturing the form name. So whatever the form name we are going to use to perform that activity, that form name will be captured as a reference document. REF DOC. Spellings are correct. Okay. Document number not required, entry number not required, description we do require. Description is equal to, we will say user logged on. Okay, that's it, small description. Actioned on, so activity actioned on. Now basically whatever the date and time, that should be captured. Actioned by. Okay, so that will be the person name. So me dot location type dot column. If you remember, I showed you where is the person name, in charge name. So we are referring to this combo box, and we are referring to this column 012, column number 2. All right, that's where column number 2. And then after that we will update the table. There you go. And that is it. That should work. So let's test it out. Let's log into our system. We'll click on login. Now if our code block is correct, then what should happen is that we should be successfully logged in the application, and when we will see the user activity table, that activity should have, that table should have a record created saying somebody has logged on to the application. So login is completed. Okay, you can see that. Now if we will go to the user activity table, it should have one line record, and there you go, you do have one line record. So location ID is 15, that's the location ID. Action type is login, and the reference document is actually the form name, and then description, user logged on, what time, date and time is also captured, and who was the person who logged on to the application. So this code block is working very well. Okay, now if you remember, we have the locations form also created, and that means we have to do the same VB coding behind the save button and inactive button as well. Remember, as I said, we are building the functionality to create a record of whether login or creating new record, updating existing record, deleting record, all of that. Okay, so we'll go to the design view, we'll click on save button and ... Here also we will define our variable dim activity as a record set. Okay, and we want to do this after this. So we'll say set activity is equal to current tb dot open record set. So what is the name of record set? User activity. All right, now we will say activity dot add new. So new, create a new record whenever a new location will be created, and we will say that activity exclamation mark, let's open this form again. Okay, table again, sorry. So location ID is equal to, now this time we are going to refer to the background, to the dashboard form, which is our main form. This time we are going to refer to this location ID, because in login, when we were logging on, when we were logging in, I don't know which one is the correct term, but you can decide. But whenever we were login, and that time it will be referring to the login screen, but because we have logged on already, now this is why we have this particular text box where the location ID is being captured. So that we are going to refer. So we'll say forms, and the form name is main, and then the text name is, sorry, it's not, it's a label dot caption. Well, let's leave it like that. Okay, so that's location ID. Active action type, so activity exclamation mark action type is equal to so we'll say new record, because a new record is being created, so that's why the action type will be new record. Okay, reference document, so activity exclamation mark reference document is equal to me dot name. So we'll just enter the name of the form, reference document number, so that we will provide, so ref doc num, ref doc num. All right, so reference document number would be basically the the record number itself. So basically location ID itself, this location ID which exists on this form, particular form. Okay, so we'll go over it, me dot location ID dot value. All right, entry number. Now this is entry number for special cases. Actually, maybe we don't need it, the entry number, and we are going to delete this column because that will be additional information if we will add it here. We already have sufficient information, and therefore entry number may not record. So let's go ahead and delete. I'll delete this. Okay, all right, that's fine. Okay, description. So we will say activity description. We'll type in the description, user created new location. That's what happened. That's what is happening right here. So new location is being created. Actioned on now, then actioned by, actioned by the forms main form, and this is where the user ID would be, LBL name. All right, then activity dot update. Okay, so we are done with our code. All right, let's so it's time to test it. So let's test it out whether this works or not. We will log in. We'll click on manage organization. We'll click on locations. We'll click on create location. I'll click on yes, and let's create general warehouse this time, and location name we would keep loop general warehouse 001, right? I'm just typing in GW001 in charge. Okay, so GW001 at loop warehousing inc.com. address, let's leave it. Let's click on save. Now if our code block is correct, then this location will be created by having profit center, cost center, status, state, and this activity, the user log, will be created in the user activity table as well. So let's click on save. All right, until now this seems, oh, there is an error. So object doesn't support this property or method. Let's see what it is. That's what it's all about, right? So let's go to the user activity table. Oh, interesting. So location ID and actioned by. So the reason it is not capturing is because I guess I have to give reference of captions dot caption. Right, let's try and create another location. Well, I'm going to delete this record. Okay, that login was captured. And where is the locations? I'm going to delete this record as well. Okay, now let's go ahead and log on. All right, cool. Locations, create new location. Yes, we'll type in general warehouse. Location name would be loop general warehouse. (001). So we'll say GW001 in charge. GW001 at Looplearning Loop Warehousing Inc.com. Let's save it. Item not found in this collection. So what happened this time? User activity. Actioned on. Why this was not captured? Locations F. Save. Okay. Oh, you see here, that's the problem. Actioned on, not action on. So I just missed ed in this spelling mistake. So actioned on. So I'll copy this and we'll paste here. Now let's create another location. Hopefully it will work now. So see, now we have central warehouse, general warehouse. So let's go back to the locations. So we have two locations here. Nice. All right, now let's go and create a new location, which will be loop general warehouse 002. All right, so loop general warehouse 002, general warehouse 002 in charge, general warehouse 002 at loop warehousing inc.com. all right, let's see. All right, so now it worked. Let's go back to our user activity table. Boom, we have done it well. So we have created a new record, user created a new location, and it was created on, created by, it was a new record. And if I will go to the locations table, and we have 3 locations created nicely. Righty, so that's what I wanted to get. Okay, now one more thing is left. So locations we are getting now. Let's wire up the user activity. So I want to click here and I want to fetch the information from user activity table, and I want to showcase in this particular list box. So that would be our last task for this video. Let's click on the second button because that was the button 2, and I will go to the user activity table so we can refer to it. Okay, and I will click on click event code builder, and we will copy this error handling code on error resume next. Okay, so in here we will go with the same sequence that we did in the previous video. So first we will fill up the txt now viewing text box. So we'll say first of all, if condition. Remember we had if conditions used before as well. So if me dot btn2 dot caption is equal to user activity, then what should happen? So we had the same sequence, so I'm going to copy the exact same, or should I type it? All right, sure, I will type it. Me dot txt now viewing dot value is equal to me dot btn2 dot caption. Okay, if you will see, we did the same with the first button as well. And then create, we don't want the create button to be appeared or visible, because remember we don't create the activity manually, it is created automatically from different actions that are being performed. So that's why we will hide that button. So me dot btn create dot visible is equal to false, so we don't want to see that button. Okay, and after that we want we will use the select statement. We will change the row source of this dynamic list. So me dot dynamic list dot row source is equal to select. All right, select what? Well, select location ID and action type. Select location ID, action type, then description. Okay, then actioned on, actioned by. Again I'm forgetting here, actioned on, actioned by. From which table? Well, from user activity table. Okay, all right, cool. Now we will set some characteristics of the list box. So for that I'm going to copy the same and I'm going to paste in here. So this time we will have column count of 1 2 3 4 5. Well, we are forgetting the activity ID. So 6. All right, 6. column heads true, so we want first one is not visible, second one is location ID. Location ID, we can have it 2.2 centimeter. Action type, perhaps let's say 2.2 centimeter again. Description should be a little bigger, let's say 3.5. Actioned on, let's say 2.5. Actioned by, let's say 2.5 centimeter. We'll do the adjustment if it is required to do so. Debug it, save it, close it. Now let's log in again. Alright, so we click on locations, so we are getting the information about locations. Let's click on user activity, and we got a problem, Houston. User activity. Alright, let's see what are we missing here. Right, so if mirror between user activity, is it user activity? Let's see it again. User activity, okay, that is correct. That is correct. So select activity ID, dynamic list. Okay, user activity, is that right? Oh dear, see, I forgot S here. Come on, just because of that. Come on, Microsoft Access. Serious? Boom, we are getting it now. So we can adjust the width, perhaps we can increase the width of description and actioned on. All right, let's go ahead. All right, this is exciting. I don't know whether you feel it or not. I certainly do feel excited. Debug it, compile. Now let's go back to background. All right, locations, user activity, boom. We still can increase the action on, but anyway, we will do it later on. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we built the structure or the code block through which we can track the user activity. We can capture whatever user is doing and we can record that. So later on there is no issue at all if someone wants to pull up the history of who did what at what time. Also, we are going to build functionality because this is a central warehouse. So central warehouse is like a headquarters, I'm assuming. So central warehouse can fetch the user activity for all the locations. But when we talk about the general warehouse, for general warehouse only they can see their warehouse history as well. So we have to build that functionality when we are going further with this application. I hope that you have learned something from this video. This is a very useful, by the way, practice to do whenever you are creating a software. Anyway, I hope that you have learned. Even if you have not, please do let me know in the comments below. And if you have liked whatever you have seen, smash the like button so YouTube knows that people are liking this content. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.